Hello, I'm going to make a semi-naked cake today. The great thing about semi-naked cakes is they're really simple to make, but they look amazing. I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why I'm doing this today is that I don't have any food colourings. For those of you who don't know, I've just moved from Australia back to Ireland, so most of my colourings are on a pallet on their way here, and I have some coming tomorrow from Colour Mill. So until then, I'm just going to use some white. So very simple, what you need is some cake. I have a piping bag with some icing and a cake board. Now, the great thing about semi-naked cakes is they're very accessible. So if you don't have a piping bag, Lewis, give me that. You can literally use one of these Ziploc bags. All you have to do is fill it with icing, cut the corner. You don't even need a nozzle. I'm not using a nozzle today. Cake boards, you can buy them online, or I saw them in Tesco yesterday. I use a turntable because I think it's really easy to kind of spin a cake around, but you really don't need one of these. But this is new, look at it. Right, so to start, I am just going to put a bit of icing in the middle. This is so the cake sticks to the board. So basically you don't want it to move. And try put it in the center as much as you can. I'm gonna take my first bit of cake and I'm gonna place it down. Make sure it's in the center. So I'm gonna use 3 thick sponges today. The reason I don't cut them in half is just for structure. I've done it before where I've put jam and buttercream in the middle and I put it in the fridge and then I've come back and it's gone. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, so I'm gonna start by piping a ring around the edge. So the reason I do this is this acts as like a dam. So if you wanted to put like buttercream or lemon curd or like Nutella in the middle, that kind of stops it from spilling out the side. So this is more just habit than anything. And this kind of acts as part of the design as well. You'll see later when I scrape it off, that kind of filled in the holes. So fill it in. The next bit of sponge. So you're just repeating the process. Levels these off, so obviously sometimes when you take a cake out it's kind of domed, so I've leveled it off before I started this, and I've also trimmed the base. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge for about 30 minutes and then we'll come back and ice it. Cool, so this has been chilling for half an hour. I have my whipped buttercream. Pop it on top. We want it to be thin, so this is just the crumb coat, so basically this just locks in all the crumbs, like it literally coats the crumbs. So you do this for every type of cake. Some people when they do naked cakes don't do another layer of icing. It just kind of traps all the crumbs in the first layer of icing, so then when you go to do another layer, there's no crumbs on the outer layer. It doesn't look nice. And then if there's crumbs on the outer layer, when you go to smooth, it kind of drags the crumbs with it, which can then kind of create lines and holes in the cake, which you don't want. So you can kind of see that the crumbs are kind of sticking to the icing a bit. So when this goes back in the fridge and it sets, then this is quite a soft sponge, so I'm kind of just doing this upwards and downwards motion, which I usually wouldn't do, but I'm just letting this stick, go around, fill in any little gaps. Take my scraper, I'm just gonna move it slowly around, so using my turntable to help me spin it, and just scraping off any excess icing. I'm just gonna fill in some of the little holes, just where the icing wasn't as thick. So just trying to get it as smooth as possible. Applying even pressure through the scraper. So you can kind of see some of the layers popping through, which is kind of the effect we want. But I am going to put another layer of icing over it just to kind of finish it off. Usually you want even pressure for your first layer, but if you are trying to expose a bit of sponge, you can kind of apply some more pressure where you want the sponge to be exposed. So kind of no 2 naked cakes are the same because it's just not awesome. So then when you're happy, I'm just going to go with the palette knife again. I'm just going to try flatten down the edges as much as I can. And then this goes back in the fridge for another 30 minutes. So we're just doing the final layer. Some people, I think when they start making out naked cakes, think that's all you have to do, but it's important to go with another layer of icing just to kind of finish it off. Smoothing in the top, trying to get rid of any of those air bubbles. Also, how good is Irish butter? Buttercream tastes so much nicer. So I'm going with a nice thin layer. So I don't want to do this too thick because I am going to have to scrape it back because I want to expose some of the sponge because that is the naked cake, essentially. I'm taking my trusty scraper, applying that nice even pressure throughout. So you can see the sponge kind of starting to come through. Gives it a better finish. These are really popular for weddings. I am happy with that. So I'm just going to go with my scraper and I'm just going to level out the top. Leave a blank canvas. I'm going to put some flowers on top. These are flowers that my sister-in-law got me when we moved in, but just they're kind of on the way out. Usually with flowers, I prepare them, I put a bit of florist tape and some, like a stick, because you don't want to put the flower directly in the cake because it's not really food safe. But today, because this is a dummy cake, it's just for decoration. You can go over the top and it just doesn't look as nice. So I'm gonna stuff flowers and then put some gold leaf. Just to kind of finish it off. Sometimes it's a bit easier to use a paintbrush. With the gold leaf, it's definitely less is more. If you wanted, you could add like sprinkles or get a little bit of gold splatter. Get a nice little cake topper. And there it is. Nice little semi-naked cake. Easy breezy.